The Son of Sam shootings were happening when I was living in New York, in Brooklyn at the time, and we all knew the people, the sort of circle of our friends and colleagues, that we knew that there was more than one person in the Son of Sam cult. I mean, the rumors spread like wildfire. People were talking about it constantly. It was something that you felt all the time. And Maury Terry writes about a connection to the Son of Sam cult through a film producer called Roy Radin. Roy Radin at one point approached friends of mine and myself. He wanted to film rituals. He wanted to film, actual rituals taking place. He wanted to film something spooky, something, like conjuring a demon to visible appearance or something. So we stayed away from him because he looked a little strange, and he seemed a little bit unhealthy, in his interests. But the Son of Sam thing was going on at the time, and there was this. Maury Terry brings out this connection to something called the Process Church of the Final Judgment. Well, the Process is kind of an offshoot of Scientology, or members of Scientology created the Process Church, and we saw them around town all the time as well. And we didn't know if there was any actual connection to Son of Sam until much later. But what I find that is fascinating to me, and I just discovered this a few years ago, was that the man who came up with the name, the Process Church of the Final Judgment, and the man who incorporated the Process Church was Tommy Jude Baumler. And Tommy Baumler worked as a lawyer and an investigator out of Guy Bannister's office initially. He was a person who was deeply involved with David Ferrie, with Jack Martin, with all those characters from the New Orleans end of the Kennedy assassination conspiracy. And he's the guy who actually incorporated the Process Church and came up with the name.
Wow.
The connections are very bizarre and very, very astonishing. We knew the Process Church. We knew them. They were spending a lot of time trying to look sinister and mysterious. And they did the thing with the German shepherds was their sort of their totem. They dressed in black. They worshiped both the devil and Jesus and Jehovah. And it was quite a heady mixture. But in the years since then, members of the Process at that time have come out and acknowledged that Berkowitz was part of this, that they were part of this cult that was going around killing people, basically. That what Berkowitz said was true. Berkowitz is still in jail. He's never getting out. He knows that. But he has actually come clean on the murders that he did commit and the ones he did not commit. He has no reason to lie about it at this point. He's never getting out of jail. He's an admitted murderer, multiple murderer. But we knew that there were killings that were sort of off from the other killings. We knew there had to be more than one person doing it. And as it turned out, I think we've been proven right. The Son of Sam killings were part of a cult. New York was full of this kind of activity at that time. It was replete. We had the witchcraft phenomenon had just started. So you had the Gardnerian witchcraft, you had Ray Buckland, you had Leo Martello, you had all kinds of people who were pretty famous in this particular field, promoting witchcraft as a religion, promoting it heavily on the media. And that was just the surface. Then you had the Church of Satan crowd, and then you had the Temple of Set people. You had a lot of groups that were very, very active in New York City and New Jersey who were involved in this esoteric stuff. So this was something that was going on. We all knew it. We all knew who was in it. We all knew, who to stay away from, or who you'd want to talk to, who was interesting and who wasn't. This was all part of the atmosphere at that time. So yeah, the Process Church, David Berkowitz, the cult, no doubt in my mind. Maury Terry may have gotten some things wrong here and there, or he may have overreached in certain places, but the basic story, I think, is pretty solid. And I've talked to some of the police investigators and detectives who worked on that case. They're still around, and I've talked to them a number of times in the past, and they are absolutely convinced of the existence of a cult that was involved in these murders.